Hey, what's going on, fam? Welcome back to Peggy and Don Stays Ready, because we all know if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. Now, I just want to start off today's video, at least just a small part of today's video, by addressing some of the reactions I got to the last video. I have to be honest with you, I had no idea what kind of reactions I was going to get. First off, because we haven't posted in a very long time, and I wasn't really sure that anybody was out there looking for us or anything. Secondly, I dropped a potentially controversial revelation that Peggy and I are in the planning stages of living abroad. We're becoming expats. Now, there's a number of reasons why we're doing it, but at least I'm going to admit that a little bit of it is the political climate that we're living in and where I see things are going here in the States. So we made that decision to seek other places to live. I thought that would get a lot of negativity, but the comments have been generally very, very supportive of that, and I appreciate that. Another thing that I revealed in the last video was my political leanings. As controversial as it is, I said that I wanted to make sure that all kids are fed and that children are protected and we care for the sick and the elderly and stuff like that. And even though that shouldn't be controversial, I did expect a lot of pushback from that, and even some lost subscribers, which I'm not very concerned with. Turns out, though, that I think nearly all the comments were very supportive of that revelation, and we actually gained subscribers, so I feel very blessed in that aspect. Now, the only thing that I did get a little bit of pushback on, just talking about a very small amount, a little bit of pushback on, was when I said this. I realize that by now you have chosen a side, and there's nothing I can say or most people can say on either way for you to change what side you're on. So in response to that statement, someone said, this is not the time to be trying to separate us or talk about sides when we're all in this together, and we should just be focused on helping each other. Now, my first reaction, I'm going to be honest with you, is I wanted to defend my position because I feel very, very strongly that there really are two sides, right? That was my first reaction. And so, because if you watch social media right now, you've seen people online posting videos laughing about people not getting their SNAP benefits and y'all don't deserve it and stuff like that, or numerous other things. And so I guess I was kind of like, that kind of like colored my view about the situation. But, I took a breath, and I remember what Peggy and I talked about when we first started this channel. We wanted the comment section to be a place for discourse and be able to respond to each other and learn from each other. And so when I took a breath and slowed down, I realized that she had a point with the second part, which was that we should be focused on trying to help each other. During that whole video, I don't think I gave any tips about what you should be doing right now to make sure that you and your family are prepared for what's going to happen. I said what I believe was coming and stuff like that, but I didn't really focus much on giving any advice on what you should be doing. And so that's what I want to start doing. I'm going to do that today. But please keep in mind that it is almost impossible to talk about preparedness and doing things to deal with the current climate without at least touching on what used to not be political, but is now political. There will be some political statements made on this channel, and that's just the nature of the beast. I remember I pointed out when we posted a video about me exercising my Second Amendment rights, that I was in possession of some firearms. And people was like, oh, you got those, so that means you must be on this side and stuff like that. And, like I said, I wanted to defend myself, but we're to a point now where both sides believe that it's important to be able to defend yourself and your family. So at least that part has changed. I'm going to try to hold myself to this. When it comes to the comment section, as long as the person is being respectful and they just respectfully disagree, then we can have a debate, we can have a discourse about it. If it's my opinion that point A leads to point B, and then somebody come into the comments and say, well, I personally believe that point B leads to point A, and this is why. That's a good comment. That's a good disagreement. Now, if somebody comes to the comment and said, you are stupid if you believe that point A leads to point B, or if you believe point A leads to point B, then you must not care about kids, you must not care about Christianity, you must not care about whatever your family or something like that. That's disrespectful. As long as we're sticking to the guidelines of just a medium level of respect, we should be able to discuss things and learn from each other in this comment section, which really happened when we first started the channel, and I would like that to happen again. So I got to make sure I keep that in mind, because it's really easy in this in this political climate to get angry at people and to just start cutting people off and just start losing it, and that's not who I am. Okay, so with that being out of the way, now we can go ahead and start talking about the tips. Now, the first tip I want to give, obviously, is going to be about food security. A lot of y'all watching the news, y'all already know that SNAP benefits, which benefits about 42 million Americans, last time I checked, they have been halted and under doubt. A judge has ordered that $6 billion of SNAP benefits funds be released immediately. And the administration has said they're going to be sending out about $4.5 billion, which is going to come to about half of what people normally get. And then once that's done, it's done. So even though there's a little light right here, a little respite, if you want to call it, that is still a potential long-term problem for a lot of people. So my tip today is going to be about food security, and I want to break it down into 3 different groups. Group number 1 are those who are severely impacted with food insecurity right now. Group number 2 are those who are not yet impacted but are potentially impacted in the future with food insecurity. And group number 3 are those who have an abundance. I want to say those who that is not something that's going to be, that they don't believe is going to be a problem anytime in the near future. So, of course, first of all, I want to talk about group 1, those who are severely impacted right now with food insecurity. I'm not going to come on here and give you any kind of like a lecture or try to insult your intelligence, because I know right now you're already making hard choices. You're determined to buy less food. You're working on meal plans. You're digging into your pantry if you had set aside a pantry and stuff. And so what I want to try to give you a tip on is, I have noticed during difficult times and during struggles, stress gets really, really high. And I encourage you to talk to your kids or family or loved ones, whoever's depending on you for food security, to let them know what you're doing. You do not need, while you're trying to make these tough decisions, you do not need someone in your family coming to you saying, rice again? We just had rice yesterday. We just had rice the day before yesterday. Rice and chicken. I'm tired of rice and chicken. When are we going to have pizza again? I cannot imagine the amount of frustration that will build up for someone who is doing their best to provide for their family to hear that kind of thing. And so if you have the discussion with your family ahead of time about what your plans are and what you're doing and why, that might prevent a lot of that stuff. They might come to you like, Mama, you know I don't like Tasty-O's. Where's my Honey Nut Cheerios and stuff like that? Also, you don't want somebody just walking into the fridge. Like, you might have gotten to a point where somebody can just walk into the fridge and grab something when they feel like having a snack or having something to eat. But if you got a meal plan, that could throw off what you plan on doing. So that's why it comes back to having a conversation with your family about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And until things get back to a place to where it's no longer absolutely necessary, they need to do their part. So that's my advice. Like I said, there's plenty of other things about the types of food you can buy. Make sure you stack up on your rice and your flour. Learn how to make some struggle meals and things like that. But right now, today, I'm just giving you tips about a thought process, because the mental part really is one of the first things that come up. So that's my tip for those in group 1. Now, those in group 2, people who have enough food right now, it is absolutely imperative that you realize that you could be in group 1 at any time. Even if it's just a winter storm to where you can't get to the store, or a sudden delay in paychecks. Thousands of people have been laid off who thought their job were absolutely secure. When I left the military, everybody always said, man, if you're going to work, make sure you get a government job because those jobs are solid. Thousands and thousands have been laid off from government jobs this year. So because you are strong and because your situation is stable right now, you still need to be planning for just in case things change. And for most people, that involves coming up with some sort of emergency pantry. Now, Peggy and I, we got very, very well known for our huge basement pantry during the COVID crisis back in 2020, 2021. But right now, we're living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we really didn't have much space for a pantry. But we knew how important this was, so we converted one of our closets to an emergency pantry. Now, for those in group 3, those who have an abundance, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it like this: don't get cocky. But also consider helping others. Now, for some reason, that is going to be considered controversial to a lot of people. Some people might even call it socialism or something like that. But I can't think of any biblical or religious or moral reason to not give to others when you have an abundance. That's what I want to say. I can't think of one religious, biblical, or moral reason to not give to others when you have an abundance and they do not. So yeah, that's really all I can say about that. I don't have an abundance, but there's a food bank located in our apartment right now. The Houston area is collecting food, and I've already set aside some canned goods that Peggy and I can spare because we're replacing that. We're constantly replacing our items in our emergency pantry. So if we decide not to eat something, but it's time to go ahead and go to the next to rotate our goods, we can go ahead and take some stuff down there that they're asking for. And so I encourage, if you are blessed to that level to where you have an abundance, consider that other people are not in your position. And just because they're not in your position does not mean they're lazy or they just refuse to work. Some people just have not received the opportunities or numerous other reasons. Okay? Kindness is pretty good. So that's all I really wanted to say today, fam. I will be bringing more tips about other things. We had our power out for a little while this morning, and I had my little backup power supply, charging cell phones and everything. That's how I'm able to record this video and stuff. So there's so much other stuff you can do to prepare because a lot of things is coming. But I also want to say that you cannot really have a discussion about preparedness without at least touching on politics. Just want to show my little sticker today. Today is November 4th here in Houston. It is ballot initiative day, and I've already done my part on that aspect. So I encourage you that if you have a little bit of time and that's going on in your area, go ahead and take part in the civil process, the legislative process that's available for us, which is one of the best parts about being in America. So with that being said, fam, I'm going to go ahead and close out. I just want to remind you guys to go out there and do something good for yourself and for others as well. Y'all take it easy, fam.